It's pretty clear that people really hate the 2010 version of The Last Airbender directed by M. Night Shyamalan, so most of us were quite curious what the heck was going to happen, how this was going to work out when Netflix announced that they were going to make this property live action yet again. And I'm here to tell you that this show, although not perfect, is actually pretty entertaining, so let's dive into what makes this show worth your time. Okay, for starters, I'm going to read to you the premise of this show, just in case you're not familiar with the overall story, and if you haven't seen the Nickelodeon cartoon. A young boy known as the Avatar must master the 4 elemental powers to save the world and fight against an enemy bent on stopping him. Yeah, that's a very vague description, but basically, in this world, we have this being known as the Avatar, and in this incarnation, his name is Aang. And he is the airbender. He's actually the last airbender. His whole tribe, all the other airbenders are dead and gone, and he's the last one. And he is supposed to use all 4 elements. There is air, earth, fire, and water, and he's supposed to master all 4 of those so that he can defeat the Fire Nation, which are basically a bunch of assholes that go around just burning people and destroying everything around them. So, that's the main gist of the show. It's based on the Nickelodeon show that came out in 2005 or something along those lines. So looking at this cast, I'm not going to try to pronounce most of these names. I don't want to offend people. But I will say there is definitely some familiar actors in this show. Daniel Day Kim. I also noticed Ken Leung. Ken Leung and Daniel Day Kim were both in the show Lost. Actually, I spotted 3 actors in this show that were on the show Lost. I don't know if this casting director was a fan of that show, but that is kind of interesting. It's a pretty good cast, and I think most of the actors in the show do a very good job with their characters. Not everybody is perfect with their acting, but most of them are. So let's talk about the good. I thought the costumes were excellent. Just the way this world was recreated, it was meticulous. There's so much attention to detail. The costumes look like they came straight from the animated series. I thought that was really great. In fact, it is better looking than the 2010 version in terms of the costume department. They put a little bit more attention to detail into it. And by the way, they actually say Aang's name correctly, because most people found it to be extremely annoying when they were like, "Hi, Aang! Aang, do you have the power?" Nobody liked that. It was so annoying, and I don't know if they were just trying to be clever or just put some kind of unique twist on things, but they say his name correct in this show, so already you're getting a thumb up from me. That was great. Like I said, costumes are awesome. The creatures and the CG in the show I thought was really good too. Oppa looked really awesome. I mean, I will say the 2010 version didn't have bad CG. I thought, in that department, that movie did all right. I thought the creatures and everything in the show looked really cool. There is some times where you could see green screen and you can tell that it is CG because, believe it or not, there's actually not flying water bisons or whatever the heck that thing is actually. I can't remember the name of it. I know it's a bummer. I wish they would have used a real flying animal, but they're hard to come by this time of year. They're so hard to come by. So this was a Nickelodeon cartoon. So being that it was a cartoon, it obviously had some childlike energy going on. And this show manages to keep that. It doesn't go overboard. It doesn't feel like you're watching a full on, just kids show. But you can see that charm, and I thought it was really good how they managed to capture that and just keep it in essence, because the charm is what half the show is about. Aang, Katara, and Sokka are definitely just a really unique trio of actors and characters, and you just really enjoy them. It's a very heartwarming show. Honestly, the animated show was very heartwarming, and I think that heartwarming quality translated over to this show pretty well. And I really enjoyed Sokka. I thought he was a great actor. Prince Zuko, I was really impressed with this guy. He did a very good job. I was really feeling like this is the son that's been getting the bullying from the father. He's just trying to be loved, and his dad is just a jerk. But his dad is not bad to look at. Daniel Day Kim, was really awesome in the show. He was playing Fire Lord Ozai, and he was just menacing and badass in every scene. He wore that costume really well. He was looking like a fire daddy for sure. The show kind of follows because an adventure of the week kind of storyline. It has an overarching plot where it's heading, but each day, each episode is its own little self-contained story. And I thought it was really interesting, and I thought that the lore and just some of the fantastical elements to the show were just really well done. There were some really cool episodes. There was an episode that had a lot to do with the Earth tribe, and they had some Earthbenders. Earthbenders is what they're called. That episode was really cool. I thought their king was kind of cool. He was very unique and quirky and strange, and there was just a lot of interesting plot elements going on in that episode. There's an episode towards the end of the first season that has like a spirit realm. That episode was really cool. I just thought there was a lot of really interesting and fun moments in this show that were enough to outshine any issues that I might have had with the show. But I guess since this is a review, let's talk about some of those issues. For one, as I said, I think that almost everybody in this show does a very good job acting. I will say, however, though, the lead actor for Aang, sometimes it was just, it's hard to say. Is he a bad actor, or is it because he's young? Is it his voice? I don't know what it is, but there was something just not quite convincing about him. But I would overall say that he did a decent job. He's the weakest of the cast, but I imagine that he's going to continue to grow. I mean, he is the youngest of the cast, so you have to give him some leeway. And I think that overall, considering he stepped in some huge shoes, he did do a good job. I just think that he is the weakest of the actors for me. And I guess possibly there was some episodes where some of the momentum was slowed down a bit too much. Just some of the side quests did drag a little bit. But overall, even these mild slowdowns in the storyline progression, I was not bored. I was super entertained. I thought this show was just very well made and kept me interested and engaged. So I don't have very many cons. Occasional bad CG and sometimes shoddy acting. But other than that, I thought the show was very well made. And I think that fans of the animated series, and I will say, for one, I am not a diehard fan. I did not watch every single episode of that show because I was already, graduating high school when that show came out. So I was not in the practice of watching kids' cartoons. But I will say, I think that people who are fans and diehard fans, I'm pretty sure they're going to be happy. There's going to be some obvious nitpicks from people who know every single bit of lore, every single episode, and they're going to be like, he was supposed to sip his tea with his left hand, not his right hand. And there's going to be, there's going to be complaints. But I think overall, this show should satisfy people, and it definitely is an improvement over the 2010 version. That is for sure. So final thoughts. Avatar: The Last Airbender, brought to life by Netflix, trying to wash away the taste of the 2010 version that M. Night Shyamalan made. And I have to say, it is very successful. I thought this show was very entertaining. It was very well made. The CG and everything was it was really cool to see this world brought to life and some of its fantastical places. I felt like I really went to some of these places. And I have to be honest, some of those powers were looking really cool, especially the earthbending. In the first episode with the earthbending, I was like, all right, here we go. This show is actually looking really good. The firebending was, of course, really great. It just has a lot of really cool stuff going on, and it filled that void for me, that fantasy void. Is this as good as One Piece? No, it's not as good as One Piece. As cheerful and just well acted. One Piece was a very good show. I thought Netflix really struck gold with that. I would say that show to me is like a 9 or a 10. I thought it was really good. For this show, I'm going to go with an 8 because I liked most things about it. There's very few complaints I have. I'm not the diehard fan, so I'm not going to be as nitpicky and ridiculous and harsh. And I'm just going in as a casual fan of the series. I saw some episodes when I was growing up, I watched some episodes. And so I have some familiarity with the story, but not as much as some. So I'm going in as a non-biased person who doesn't go in with preconceived notions of what they're expecting. And as that kind of a person, I thought the show was quite entertaining. I'm curious to see what the diehard fans are going to say. I'm sure it's going to be harsh. anytime someone comes out with an adaptation of anything, you are opening yourself up to harsh criticism all around the board. And it's a very brave thing to do. I have to be honest. I don't know if I would attempt to do that. I'm very worried for Warner Brothers attempting to redo Harry Potter. Good luck to you guys on that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this show. What did you think? Did you watch it yet? I can't believe how fast I binged it. I truly binged a show, all 8 episodes in record time. Does that make me a loser that doesn't have a life? Let me know. And if you like this video, please like this video. And if you want to see more things like this and have more discussions, then subscribe to this really awesome channel. And that's all I have to say. Later.